Hello, everyone. My name is Pete Morton, and I wanted to share a real quick, just a tip with you. I've been getting a lot of requests, especially with AI evolving and everybody trying to evolve with it and understand it and how quickly the technology is developing. We do a lot of what we call online footprint assessments. What we found in the industry, especially with protection, is that our perimeter is now extending out quite far and more into the digital side than anything. It used to be to target somebody took a lot of work, a lot of surveillance and research online and trying to find the right information and the right source for information and the right platform to pay for that information. Whereas now it's just not. It's no longer an issue. For example, I put in a picture here of a detail that I had arranged and was managing quite a few years ago, actually. And I put it into Grok and I said, hey, tell me where this picture was taken. And it pretty much nailed it. Wasn't specific on the actual location, but close enough. And then, on top of that, it said, hey, given your background and what you do, this is probably a detail that you were, it essentially told me what the picture was and what was going on in it and how I was involved in it, with me just saying, hey, can you tell me where this picture was taken? So it actually volunteered information. And the same thing's happening with when we're starting to look for targets. We do that too as well, targeting, counter surveillance. When we're working with a principal or a client, especially some of our clients, which operate in some pretty austere and developing areas. But what we're finding it's easier to find them as well. Just by putting information in, we can get addresses, phone numbers, interactions. And so this new technology takes what we call the targeting cycle. It just reduces it greatly. Where it used to take weeks, it can now take hours to do the research. And we're seeing that with some of these higher profile assassination attempts and targeting that's going on, the doxing that's going on. And so I just want to make sure that everybody's tracking your social media feeds. It's probably a good idea to go through and sanitize those. If you're concerned, if there's a concern, probably sanitize them now, not just yours, but talk to the people that are connected to you. If you have a client that is high profile that you're taking care of, or somebody that just needs to operate under the radar, it's typically not just their information that people are looking at. It, I extend it out. When I'm targeting somebody, I look at their family first. Where does their family go? Where are there pictures of the individual I'm looking at in those family pictures? Because the family is more likely to give up. If somebody's trying to hide their location or where they're from, they can do that themselves on their own social media and create a persona. But the family typically does not, and will volunteer a lot of information, especially if they're like a foodie and taking pictures of where everybody's eating all the time that are, have metadata attached to them, like coordinates and things like that. My recommendation is go through and sanitize your feed. Now, you don't have to take out all your pictures. What I've started doing is just, I use Grok a lot. I'm just a big fan of it. I like the platform and the way it works. So I want people to see this picture of what I do, right, in my business, but I don't want them to know what the location is. I don't want them to see the identities of the people involved. My recommendation is go to Prompt Cowboy or something like that, because it'll give you a good prompt. Now it's going to come up with a prompt specific to the model that I'm using, which is typically Grok. We'll see how this works. Add the image, this one here. See what it does. That's not bad. This one here, so it changes the color of the buildings, mountains. I'm going to download it, and let's see what Grok says when I put it in there. You see in there too, it's pulling metadata, or it's trying to pull metadata to figure that out too. So if that photo has, coordinates attached to it, which many photos do, and it's going to figure out where it's at. It didn't tell me it was AI, which was interesting, even though it created it. Exact location identification is tough without metadata or reverse image matching. So it thinks it's in Somaliland or Somalia, which is good. I'm good with that. Maybe I'll ask it to, change the uniforms and things like that, or put different clothing on it to get a little bit more in depth on this. but that helps solve the problem to a certain extent. The other thing you do is, if I have a family photo or something like that that I'm posting, I'm going to do something similar. I don't want to change, who I am. Let's see, it's just going to tell it to change the location. And you can keep those prompts too. Just save them somewhere. You can say, hey, look, I'm going to take that faces part out. And we can add in more if we want. But let's see what this does with a picture of me and my family or something. So let's try this. I'm gonna open it up actually and add it here. But I'm gonna ask it to tell me where it's at. See if it figures it out. Look at that. It's already know Guardrail, Sedona, Overlook Canyon, Red Rock. It's the exact location. Oak Creek. So this is the exact location of where we were at. And it figured it out by other photos probably that were marked it with it. I don't know. Let me see if there was metadata attached to this. It doesn't look like there's any latitude, longitude, any way to tell through the metadata where that photo was taken. So it did that just based off of looking at this. Some railing, some red rocks, and then the horizon. So I don't want them to know where I'm taking pictures of my family. You don't have to do this on all your pictures. This is just specifically if you want to hide or mask your location. Say you're taking a picture in front of your house or something like that. You don't want somebody to be able to say, hey, where is this taken? And then have it pull up and drop your address to the entire world. That's why it's important to go back through your photos too. I know if a lot of people have a lot of photos, maybe they don't care, but some of you might. There's so much information out on you right now that a typical person couldn't just calculate all of the different data points, but now AI can, and it can figure out where you are. It can figure out your patterns. It can figure out your routines and everything else. So it's good to look and see what's out there on you and maybe change it up a little bit. That's disappointing. But let's see. I mean, it might be enough to where if we put it into a new chat, let's see if it's enough. And as AI is going to continue to evolve, everybody, I mean, it's going to be amazing. But let's see what it says now. Arizona, Utah, or Colorado. See, we're a little further out. Grand Canyon. Okay with that. Misinformation is not a bad thing. Canyon Overlook in Zion National Park in Utah. That's not accurate at all, which is good. I'm okay with that. So it didn't change the photo too much. It's still me and my wife. It just changed some of the different, like the color of the rock looks a little bit different, and the horizon looks a little bit different. So this is where we are. We got to get creative in order to throw the people off who are trying to collect your data. And it's not just nefarious actors. There's a lot of other people out there who just want to know more about you, your patterns, how to sell you things, that kind of stuff. But for anybody who wants to stay under the radar, you're gonna have to adapt. And even this probably isn't gonna be enough in the future. We're gonna have to continue to adapt. It might be too late for many of us who are just jumping into this. But for our kids, and the generations coming up, a little less information on the internet is probably not a bad thing. Then for you, if you're a practitioner in this industry, understanding pictures are important for advertising. I understand that, but not at the expense of your clientele. It's okay to have something that looks like AI on your website. If I was a client and I was looking at a website and I saw that somebody was using that instead of maybe quote, hey, this is generated by AI to protect so-and-so's somebody protect that identity. That just adds to your ability to operate and their vision of who you are and how much you care about your clients. So just a little tip. Interesting world we live in.